One of the professional hats that I wear is that I'm a first aid instructor, and I am all about preventing emergencies, preventing tragedies. I want to walk you through this poster that's provided by the Canadian Red Cross because it provides some really insightful statistics, and I'll connect that to how you guys can prevent problems for your family. So here we go. On average, 57 kids drown every year in Canada, 43 male, 14 female. The higher number of males is often attributed to boys being a bit more rambunctious. If they find something, they tend to want to throw themselves into it. However, that is a guess, that is an educated guess. It might not be the actual reason, but you can keep that in mind if you have a little boy. 98% of parents say children must wear a life jacket when boating. However, the majority of kids who drown while boating are not wearing one. I find so many people misunderstand the purpose of a life jacket. So Ministry of Transportation requirements say you have to have the right number of life jackets on board your boat for the number of passengers. But if they're not wearing it, that is an absolute misunderstanding of the tool. A life jacket does not prevent drowning, okay? And so what it's going to do when your boat comes to a sudden stop, you hit an unexpected rock because the water levels have changed, a log has moved. There's stuff moving under the water that you can't see. It doesn't matter that yesterday that was a safe place to boat. Things may have changed today. When passengers get thrown overboard, a life jacket keeps the body from sinking. You need to wear a life jacket so that the body does not sink. We can retrieve somebody and revive them if they are above water. Do not ever ride on a boat without actively wearing your life jacket. Please also remember that children's life jackets have a crotch strap. If you do not do that up, they can slide out the bottom. Do up all buckles on a child's life jacket. 85% of parents say swimming with a buddy changes the way they would supervise a child in the water. Kids 5 to 14 who drown were with a buddy twice as often as they were alone. The buddy system is great, but the buddy system needs to be this combination: the person who is swimming and somebody who is able to rescue them. Sending out two 8-year-olds saying, oh yeah, it's the buddy system, they can swim safely together, is not actually safe and effective. You need somebody with water rescue skills. If that is not you, then you need somebody else to help supervise. And if you want to gain those skills so that you can be the good supervisor, there are lots of opportunities through the Red Cross, through the Life Saving Society. You can get drowning prevention training. You can get water safety and rescue training. 1 in 3 kids who drown were not expected to be in the water. If you know that there is a pool, a pond, a river, the ocean, a giant puddle because there was a rainstorm, no matter what, when you know that there's water, teach children to not go by it unless they have an adult with them. Teach kids that different kinds of water behave differently because the ocean has a tide, rivers have currents, puddles can disguise their depth. In my neighborhood, there is a killer puddle. It has the ability to take a life. Reason for it, it looks like every other puddle. It's actually 4 feet deep because of the ditch that it's in. I'm hoping our city fills it in actually. So whatever the body of water is that you have access to, you have to teach kids about the nature of that specific body of water, and then teach kids to stay away from it, and then supervise, make sure they don't actually go there. Only 50% of parents say they always supervise their kids around water. That has got to change. This is where a lot of drownings happen. Please, please, please not only supervise your child, but make sure that for that body of water, again, you have the rescue skills to get them out of there if they get into trouble. 4 in 10 children drown in water less than 1 meter deep. More than 90% of kids who drown in shallow water are not with an adult. Just so you guys know, a child can drown in less than 2 inches of water. All that has to happen is they have to tip over front or back in such a way that their mouth and nose are sealed off by the water, and that's a drowning. So unfortunately, children do drown in puddles less than 2 inches deep. Please, 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 when you see water and children, somebody has to be nearby. The general rule is actually fully supervised and within arm's reach, okay? Shallow water, we tend to think, oh, well, you know, their head is above, what could go wrong? 2 scenarios that I've seen. Little girl who was set into a little wading pool. She was wearing a life jacket. Mom stopped paying attention and started looking at her phone. Her little girl floating in that life jacket. Remember, life jackets don't stop you from drowning. They just keep the body above water. Her life jacket tipped her forward and stuck her face in the water. She was floating and drowning. A lifeguard saved her. Another time, I was at a river beach, and there was a parent standing there within arm's reach of his little girl, but he was talking to somebody on the other side. Not looking at her, a wave knocked her over, and the end result was that she was right beside him, but drowning. A lifeguard intervened. You need to be within arm's reach, and you also need to be paying full attention. 1 in 2 parents think they can effectively supervise kids in the water by listening for signs of problems. Children who drown are often silent. Please don't rely on a child calling for help. You can't call for help if your mouth is full of water. Last one, only 3% of kids who drown are identified as strong swimmers. Great idea. Sign your kid up for swimming lessons. If you can't afford it, I know that money is a huge factor for a lot of families. Don't rely on having to pay for swimming lessons. Find a strong swimmer in your neighborhood. Ask them to teach your child the skills. Give them time to practice, and while you're doing that, fully supervise, be within arm's reach. And I'd encourage you, teach your child water rescue skills. Get them all the way to the point where they may not be a certified lifeguard, but they've had the training and the practice to be able to rescue somebody else in need. If you want more information, visit www.redcross.ca. And otherwise, if you want to know about more resources, you have questions, or you have comments about how to keep kids safe around water, put it in the comments. If this was helpful, like the video, share it, and be sure to subscribe. I'm going to be posting lots more interesting stuff. Hope this was helpful for you. All the best. Bye.